This is Scott Becker with the Becker Business Podcast. We try and bring you daily short business episodes, market insights, sometimes thoughts on business and thoughts on leadership. We also bring you almost daily an interview with a business leader. We hope you enjoy the podcast. We hope you enjoy the cadence of the podcast. Today's discussion is Netflix takes a big swing at the plate. So here's the deal with Netflix. Netflix has agreed to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery in essentially a deal that's valued at $72 billion. Currently, Reed Hastings, the founder of Netflix, serves as executive chair of Netflix and still has a huge presence in leadership at Netflix. He's worth, I think, about $6 billion. The current CEOs are Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters. I never know if I'm pronouncing Sarandos' name exactly correctly, but this deal for Warner Bros. Discovery and HBO Max and HBO is a bit out of the comfort zone of what Netflix has done traditionally. It makes Netflix a much more integrated studio and streaming service than it's been before. It's taking on enormous debt to do so and hoping the cash flow that's created between the two companies, between Netflix, which is great cash flow, and Warner Bros. Discovery, which is not as great of cash flow, will lead to the ability to cover that debt and grow the company significantly, and ultimately lead Netflix to be more stable and not as reliant on hit or miss offerings. Currently, Netflix, as well as some of the other streaming services, have their subscribers go up or down based on whether they've got a hot show that people feel like they have to watch. So, like for example, when the Ozark was on, people had to subscribe. The same thing with Game of Thrones. I forget what streaming service it was on, HBO. People had to subscribe. But there's this real need to have hit shows to keep people subscribing to that streaming service. And Netflix is hoping that this insulates them a little bit from that hit or miss situation. In any event, I think, at this point in life, Reed Hastings is worth about $6 billion. Why not take a swing at the plate to try and become the biggest and the best at everything with his co-chairs that he's got as CEOs currently? I think it's a fascinating thing. I'm hoping that this thing for Netflix does not become what we saw 100 years ago with sort of Time Warner AOL, where between Time and AOL, they turned that into a disaster, sort of a dumpster fire amongst a lot of fanfare at that time. I think Netflix, Reed Hastings, really, I love him or hate him, an absolutely brilliant leader, and I think his co-CEOs are really brilliant as well. I hope this goes well. I don't know if it will, but it is sure fascinating to watch. Again, they're playing at a scale of mergers and acquisitions that generally we don't play at, but we do think absolutely fascinating. Thank you for listening to the Becker Business Podcast. If you get a chance, go online to Amazon, buy our latest book, Building Great Businesses. Pre-order it on Amazon. We'd greatly appreciate it. And finally, if you're the first person to listen to this podcast all the way through, and you can pronounce Sarandos in the text, send me a text at 773-766-5322, and we'll send you a $100 gift certificate. Thank you for listening to the Becker Business Media Podcast.